Hey guys, it's Fred and Sheila McCoy. We're still in this same corner on these same boards. One last video on this topic and we'll be done with it. This is in relation to a video that was recently done and shown on YouTube of Jack Hatfield and the museum at Sarah Ann, West Virginia. We encourage everybody, again, that's the home place. Not the home place, but it's the last living home of Devil Anse Hatfield location. Now the home's no longer there. His son Tennis burned it down, but the home place is still there. That's the location where Devil Anse had moved to from Mate Creek when in '88, when after they burnt the cabin down and everything got real hot, and they moved out. Randall McCoy moved to Pike County. So we encourage everybody, even though we don't agree with a lot of the history, and people may not agree with ours, guys. The difference in other people's history lessons and ours, Sheila and I try to show proof. We try to show documentation. We try to back up what we say. Don't mean we're always right. I don't know. If we're ever wrong, please tell us. Please show us proof and tell us, and we'll correct it. We don't mind being corrected. Everybody can make mistakes.
That's right.
The last topic we're going to cover, we've done made 3 videos on the shotgun, on the Logan Wildcats, on how Cap got his name and who the real little Cap was. Okay. And it bled over in the TC Crawford book. Now, Jack says in that interview, had the man from Huntington, West Virginia, real inquisitive, asked a lot of questions, good questions. Questions that should have been asked years ago. Had they been asked years ago, people may not have felt so cocky over the years and just kept building on until we finally have a legend. And but he talks about TC Crawford's book. He says he's been reading TC Crawford's book and he's going to redo or reprint or do something on the Hatfield, West Virginia Hatfield family side of it. And I wanted to clear a couple of things up because, you know, he opened the door for these comments. When you make videos or you say something, you're opening the door for rebuttal. And he makes the comment that he didn't know a lot of the history that T.C. Crawford had in his book. And Devil Anse, he didn't know about Perry Klein blackmailing Devil Anse and getting $500 and to drop these warrants and so forth. And he makes some comments. First of all, I want to explain to you something. We done a whole series on T.C. Crawford. He's one of my favorite authors. He's one of the few people that sat down in front of Devil Anse, Cap Hatfield, and Good Elias, different ones. He's one of the few people that's ever talked to their neighbors. Neighbors didn't talk, but he tried.
Yeah, he has.
And so T.C. Crawford was a good author. He's hands-on. He's there if you want to believe. The thing about it is, the Hatfields, if T.C. Crawford says something good favoring Devil Anse, they love that. They say, T.C. Crawford said this. But if T.C. Crawford says, Cap has a reputation of being a coward, T.C. Crawford. Now, that's not Fred McCoy. That is a quote from T.C. Crawford. So when you say things like that, and you got to distinguish, did T.C. Crawford say this, or is it in T.C. Crawford's book solely because that's what Devil Anse told T.C. Crawford? You know, if you're an author and you're interviewing somebody, you're going to write down what they're telling you. And Devil Anse said this, Devil Anse said that. And I think what Jack's doing, I think Jack's mistaken on what Devil Anse told T.C. Crawford and the way T.C. Crawford really took him, because at the end of the day, he called Devil Anse a liar, and a savage, and barbaric. That's his opinion of Devil Anse. But Devil Anse does have his stories in there. Devil Anse says that if he did kill Asa Harmon McCoy, he didn't. But if he did it wouldn't do a man to tell nobody about it, and so forth like that. But Jack got on this story, and Jack says that he didn't know that Perry Klein was blackmailing. He blackmailed Devil Anse, and he went and got warrants on Devil Anse just so he could blackmail Devil Anse, and he could get $500. He told Devil Anse if he'd give him $500, he'd get the warrants recalled on Devil Anse. Well, guys, those warrants were there way before Simon Buckner, Kentucky's 30th governor, ever took office. Those warrants were there from 1882, August, September of 1882. There was a list of indictments that came out, over 20 men indicted, Pike County Court. Sheila, step down there if you don't care and just show that. I'll continue talking.
Okay.
But that gives you proof. There's your list of those that were indicted for the killing of the 3 McCoy boys. After you get done showing the list, make sure you show the date, because the date is for 1882. So now those warrants were out, okay, from 1882 on. Simon Buckner didn't take office till sometime 86 or 87. And when Simon Buckner took office, he put a reward out, $500 for each one of those men on that list. $500 a head. And he also sent a governor's warrant to West Virginia Governor Wilson, the 7th governor of West Virginia, wanting that bunch extradited back. Of course, he refused to do that. But let's stick with the story. So Jack says he charged Devil Anse $500 and says, I'll get these warrants recalled. I'll get these warrants taken care of for you. Devil Anse sends Perry Klein $500. Now this is Jack saying this. Watch the video. And Perry Klein goes to the governor and he says that he can't get the warrants dismissed. He can't get them. Well, guys, governors don't issue warrants. They issue extradition warrants from another state after there's already an indictment or a charge, but they don't issue the original warrant. Governors can't dismiss charges on nobody. A prosecutor, Commonwealth attorney, county attorney, they would have to do that. Governors don't do that. So to say that Perry Klein went to the governor wanting charges dismissed, that's not so. That's the story that Devil Anse told TC Crawford in that book. That story is in that book, but that doesn't mean that it's true. So distinguish, and I hope Jack does when he reads this book, distinguish on between what TC Crawford said and what he's repeating from Devil Anse Hatfield, the storyteller. Because Devil Anse was a storyteller. That's tall tales. Even some of the authors throughout the years have noted that. He could spread it. Jack says that Perry Klein returned Devil Anse Hatfield's $500 and said he couldn't get the governor to drop the warrants. Now, if you guys believe that, you ain't done your research. Because if a man, Jack's saying that Perry Klein was a blackmailer, Devil Anse, he's blackmailing him. He wants $500. Well, he's got the $500 in his pocket. Okay, I'm seeing this. He's got the $500, guys. He's got his bribe, his blackmail, whatever you want to call it. According to Jack, Devil Anse paid Perry Klein $500. Perry Klein went to the governor. Governor wouldn't drop the warrants. Guess what happens next? Jack says that Perry Klein sent Devil Anse's $500 back. He's a blackmailer. He's all these different things, but well, he ain't a thief. He wanted $500, but then he goes and gives his money back to him. The last topic, Jack says that all Simon Buckner wanted to do was invade West Virginia. He wanted to take West Virginia over, and he just wanted an excuse to do it. And that he was going to use Devil Anse. He was going to take it up. Guys, please do if you're history buffs, you don't have to do your research, but if you're not, this is 1887, 1888. This is 1888.
Yeah.
Civil War ended in 1865. 1865, guys. We're not out here taking one state from another. We're not fighting amongst ourselves anymore. We're the United States now. There's no governor that could go out here and take over Kentucky or West Virginia take over Kentucky, or Kentucky take over West Virginia, or Tennessee, or anywhere for that matter. It's the Civil War ended in 1865. Jack says that in 1888, Simon Buckner was just wanting an excuse to try to take over West Virginia. I've been a Civil War buff a long time. I'm not as smart as some that Sheila and I have run across over the years. We don't know as much as we'd like to. There's some good history buffs out there in the Civil War, but it don't take a big history buff to know that the Civil War ended in 1865 and you could no longer take one state from another state. You know, they had just figured out in 88 that now you had to have the extradition warrant to go get a person from another state because of law enforcement stuff. You could no longer, after that happened, the Cabin Massacre, and they went to the Battle of Grapevine, they brought the prisoners back. It went all the way to the Supreme Court. It's on here somewhere, but now you have to have an extradition warrant. So you can't even go to a state and get a prisoner without that governor agreeing. And he's having you to believe that Simon Buckner's going to forget the warrants. We're going to take over your state. When things can't happen. You had a Supreme Court then. You had government. You had guys. Fred and Sheila McCoy. Sheila will do the closing. Always wait whenever I say Sheila will do the closing, and before you click out of this video, because a lot of times at the end of these videos, Sheila shows. Sometimes she don't. Sometimes it just goes to her and then like and subscribe and all that. But there's a lot of times where she shows documentation or something for you to look at and you may find interesting. Thanks, guys.